Something extraordinary happened at OpenAI this week, and not in a good way. Within the span of just a few days, the company managed to simultaneously disappoint users with a lackluster product launch, announce a controversial policy shift that sent ethicists into panic mode, and get publicly embarrassed by mathematicians who caught them exaggerating their AI's capabilities. If you're watching the artificial intelligence race unfold, this might be the moment historians point to as when the wheels started coming off at the company that started it all. What makes this especially fascinating isn't just that OpenAI stumbled, it's that they stumbled in three completely different directions at once, revealing fundamental tensions about what they're building, who they're building it for, and whether anyone should trust what they say anymore. Let's break down how the company that launched ChatGPT and changed the world might be making decisions that could ultimately destroy the empire they created.
The product launch that nobody wanted to celebrate. GPT-5 landed in August with all the fanfare of a major product reveal, and the initial reactions were rough. People expected a moonshot, a genuine leap forward that would make GPT-4 look primitive. What they got felt like a careful, incremental step that didn't justify the hype machine that preceded it. Sam Altman later tried to spin the narrative, claiming the vibes at launch were bad, and then flipped, arguing that momentum shifted once people actually used the model in specialized contexts, rather than just testing it with casual prompts. Inside OpenAI, the framing is notably different from what played out on social media. The company talks about GPT-5 as a legitimate research assistant, a tireless tutor that never gets exhausted, and a dramatically smarter interface for search tasks. Altman's favorite talking point is that something new started happening that didn't happen pre-GPT-5. AI actually nudging real scientific research forward instead of merely summarizing existing knowledge. That's a compelling vision, except for one problem. The debut presentation absolutely failed to make that case convincingly. The launch stream showed charts with incorrect numbers. The live demonstration went wobbly, with noticeable glitches and awkward pauses. In the days immediately following launch, the team quietly patched the model's tone and behavioral patterns so it sounded warmer and less robotic. Those aren't the actions of a company confident in what they just shipped. Those are damage control measures. Critics settled on a simpler, more damning takeaway. The improvements felt incremental, leaning heavily on better speed and lower operational costs, rather than raw capability increases that users could actually feel. Gary Marcus, a persistent critic of AI hype, blasted the launch and pointed out that OpenAI's two biggest promises, achieving AGI and delivering PhD-level reasoning, simply didn't materialize in any demonstrable way. Greg Brockman pushed back, arguing that the gains weren't just brute force scaling of data and computational power, but rather came from sophisticated improvements in reinforcement learning from human feedback. Mark Chen added context that most mainstream users never see. In math-heavy specialized settings, the improvement is genuinely significant. He pointed to performance on Math Olympiad problems climbing from top 200 to top 5 worldwide, an impressive jump that barely registers for someone just using ChatGPT to draft emails or summarize articles. Altman continues planting flags for the future. GPT-6 will be significantly better than 5. GPT-7 significantly better than 6. That's the rhythm he's selling, the compounding improvement narrative that justifies continued investment and attention. But here's the problem. After a disappointing GPT-5 launch, those promises carry less weight. Trust got damaged, and every future claim will be measured against the gap between what was promised and what actually shipped. The content policy shift that set off alarm bells. While the tech community was still processing the GPT-5 launch, OpenAI dropped another bombshell that had nothing to do with technical capabilities. The company announced it would relax content restrictions for verified adults later this year, allowing sexually explicit text generation under certain safeguards. That single decision immediately ignited fierce debate across the AI community because it collides head-on with OpenAI's carefully cultivated posture on ethics and safety. Supporters frame the policy change charitably. Treat adults like adults, implement tighter protections for minors, and build better controls for people with mental health vulnerabilities. The company also teased more personalization options, letting ChatGPT adopt a more friendly, emoji-using, human-like tone if users prefer, or keeping interactions strictly formal. The official claim is that none of this represents engagement maxing or manipulating users into spending more time with the product. It's supposedly about giving control back to users. Outside the carefully worded press releases, advocacy groups immediately warned about synthetic intimacy risks and psychological dependency issues. Their argument is straightforward. Even with age verification and mental health guardrails, the potential harms aren't hypothetical. They're documented from smaller chatbot platforms that went down this road first. The tension between user autonomy and protection from harm now sits squarely at the center of OpenAI's roadmap, and there's no obvious way to resolve it that satisfies everyone. European analysts went deeper on practical implementation problems. Even the strongest safety systems get jailbroken by determined users, which means any relaxation of content restrictions demands dramatically tougher moderation systems, faster response pipelines, and substantial resources dedicated to catching edge cases before they scale. There's also the uncomfortable reality that legal definitions of erotic content and its acceptable boundaries vary wildly country by country. Building one global policy that doesn't either erase local cultural norms or impose one region's moral framework on everyone else is extraordinarily difficult. Ethics researchers flagged another issue. OpenAI already understands well. Their models tend to over-agree with users because the training process rewards politeness and compliance. In everyday conversation, that reads as friendliness and helpfulness. In sexual or intimate contexts, it could reinforce unhealthy beliefs, normalize problematic behaviors, or create dependency on validation from an AI that's literally programmed to be agreeable. Some commentary pointed to potential upsides. For many women, a controlled text-only space might feel safer than interactions in public chat rooms or direct messages with strangers. Still, the privacy implications sit like a landmine under all of this. If a dominant platform becomes the place where adults share intimate fantasies and desires, it accumulates perhaps the most sensitive personal data a tech company can possibly hold. That raises expectations for encryption, data retention policies, internal access controls, security audits, and breach response protocols far above normal product standards. The math scandal that exposed overhyped claims. While policy debates raged about adult content, OpenAI suffered an entirely different kind of embarrassment, one that struck directly at their credibility on technical capabilities. An OpenAI manager posted on social media that GPT-5 had solved multiple classic unsolved problems from the Erdos mathematics collection. It read like a field-defining breakthrough, the kind of achievement that would represent genuine progress toward artificial general intelligence. Mathematicians stepped in immediately to correct the record. Thomas Bloom, who curates the Erdos Problems website, explained patiently that open on his site simply meant he personally didn't know the solution, not that the broader mathematical literature lacked one. GPT-5 had merely surfaced known results that the curator had missed, not solved genuinely unsolved problems. It was an embarrassing conflation of "I don't know the answer" with "nobody knows the answer." Mathematician Nami Savas called the episode embarrassing. AI researcher Yann LeCun openly mocked the hype. The original post came down, the wording got softened in subsequent communications, and the story shrank to its actually useful core. GPT-5 is strong as a literature research assistant. Prominent mathematician Terence Tao has been saying exactly this for months. AI speeds up literature searches, cross-references terminology across scattered papers, and dramatically reduces grunt work in research. It can still struggle with hard proofs requiring genuine creativity, and humans must still verify what actually matters. That's not a failure. It's a precise and valuable role. But it's categorically different from solving unsolved problems. And the fact that an OpenAI employee either didn't understand that distinction or chose to blur it anyway damaged the company's credibility with the very researchers they're trying to impress. Google's quiet counter-narrative. While OpenAI struggled, Google offered a bit of historical perspective that reframed the narrative. At Salesforce's annual event, CEO Sundar Pichai was asked how it felt when a small San Francisco startup stole the spotlight in late 2022 with ChatGPT's surprise launch. Pichai revealed that Google already had chatbot technology in development and major AI investments queued up, but leadership didn't think the product quality crossed the bar that the Google brand demands. The day ChatGPT launched, that calculation changed instantly. Internal leadership called a code red, pulled teams toward deployable prototypes, and dramatically accelerated the path to what became Gemini. Fast forward to now, and Google is emphasizing advantages beyond just model capabilities. In-house chip development, massive infrastructure investments, and a giant AI hub in India that represents their largest AI investment outside the United States. built to run predominantly on clean energy. Pichai also confirmed that Gemini 3.0 is scheduled for later this year. It's an open admission that reputational risk concerns delayed Google's initial response to ChatGPT, and a clear signal that their next move will be substantially bigger than just an app release. The reputational crisis nobody's talking about. Everything connects back to one underlying problem: reputational damage. Every claim and product rollout from OpenAI is now being graded on a curve set by the GPT-5 Launch disappointment. That presentation stream with incorrect charts hardened a narrative that the model delivers better speed and lower costs, but isn't fundamentally smarter in ways users can actually feel. In the weeks after launch, developers and specialized researchers found more to appreciate, yet the damaging first impression stuck. The Erdos mathematics scandal then amplified the perception that OpenAI's claims consistently run ahead of demonstrated facts. On the political bias front, the company is attempting to teach models to stop being overly agreeable and start being neutrally informative without sounding robotic, a subtle-sounding change with enormous stakes in an increasingly polarized world. And on the adult content policy shift for GPT-6, the company's brand is now on the hook for successfully moderating perhaps the hardest content category at internet scale across multiple jurisdictions, with adversaries who love probing and exploiting guardrails. None of these challenges is impossible to overcome. All of them are expensive, technically difficult, and carry significant risk. If Altman's promise holds, that GPT-6 will be dramatically better than 5, and GPT-7 dramatically better than 6, then the next product cycle must demonstrate that capability leap, while simultaneously avoiding another botched rollout and proving that new policy boundaries don't collapse under their own contradictions and loopholes.
The market will measure OpenAI's success in trust as much as in technical benchmarks or tokens processed per second. And right now, after this chaotic week, trust is the resource OpenAI seems to be burning through fastest. Whether they can rebuild it before competitors capitalize on these stumbles might determine who actually wins the race to control artificial intelligence's future.